Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who always exercises before he takes a cold shower. It's Joey Lewandowski.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
How was the elliptical?
Oh, the elliptical was, I started a little wobbly at first. I've never seen someone like so bad at working out in a movie as he is in this movie. Like he just like doesn't know how to work, and then he figures it out. But yeah, I was a little wobbly at first, but I got there.
I like that he did that though, because if you've never been on an elliptical, you're gonna have to figure it out a little bit. Like it's
I
not gonna like the knee placement and just bending the knees and body like posture.
I will say not just about that, but like one of my big takeaways from this movie is that I don't know very many other writer directors who also like star in their movies that make themselves look as unflattering as Cooper Raiff does. Like in every single thing he does, just like he doesn't make himself look cool a single time in this movie. It's just like like he eventually gets there, kind of, but like every single thing was a swing and a miss, including working out, like which is just like a remarkable self-effacing thing to do as a creator.
He's just, you know what I love too is I love movies like Shithouse
Hmm.
because not only did this movie really connect with me, and it was great during the like IFC's run during the pandemic was like just beautiful for me when I was just stuck inside the house. Like yeah, it's some
Hmm.
beautiful 2021 movies. But what I like about these kind of movies are, you know, this movie could have been very much so like like navel gazing. Like
For
it could have
sure.
been like Alex in this movie could have been just the worst dude. You know what I mean? Like the most entitled, go back to like 0304, every alt song ever, like she won't date me. And so like she's like just, you should be with me, but you're with this bro. Like you're just like, so why should she doesn't like you, man? Just like don't sing a song about it. Like stop being that person.
Right.
Like this there could have been speeches that felt inorganic. I love a lot of first time directors movies just to watch, like just to feel them and to sort of watch. You can just feel the writing in them. And so this one doesn't really have that. There's speeches and everything, but it's very organic and it's
Hmm.
very, I mean, this movie, the shit house is for me, this isn't discrediting Cooper Raiff, but it's like a minor miracle that this movie was pulled off shot in 21 days, minor budget. The crew was found on Instagram. Jay Duplass was a part of this. First time director. He made a short, but then you make this movie that's warm, kind, introspective. The chemistry is wonderful. Everyone's wonderful. And I honestly wish this movie was out when I was in college. I wish I watched this when I was in college because I had Garden State. You know,
Mm.
that's what I had. And you can see how we've come a far way since Garden State. But when I watched Garden State, I was like, oh, the Shins. Hey, Coldplay. Oh, like this is neat. I was like, oh, hey, Natalie Portman's being,
Being
like that.
quirky.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and when you're in college and when you're starved of cinema like that,
Hmm.
it felt a little revelatory. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I watched Garden State in college, I was like, this is sensitive. People are crying. I was like, this feels different. This made me feel like say anything, like, and then like it's just there's so few of these movies. And I love that it won. Like I love that it won at South by Southwest. I will love that it won at Sundance. And Cooper just had to accept all the awards inside his crappy apartment, which he calls a crappy apartment. I'm not saying it's a crappy
Love
apartment.
it.
So yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, capturing the tone of this is hard. And so this is not lightning in a bottle. And I know I said it's a minor miracle, but this is not this kid's he's not a kid. I'm sorry, Cooper, if you're listening. This movie is it's hard. It's hard. Like it's like going away to college when you've been coddled your entire life, and then you have one foot out the door and you finally have to commit. It's hard to be this earnest and sensitive without falling off that tightrope.
For sure. It's so good. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Cha Cha Real Smooth. I know that I think I like that movie, the sequel more than you, or not the sequel, his follow-up more than you do. But like both these movies, I'm just like, how are you like this? Like when I saw The Witch for the first time at Fantastic Fest, I was like, I loved it, but I was also a little angry at Robert Eggers for being that good that early. I'm just like, how are you making a movie this good at like 26 years? It's just like that kind of thing where it's just like, you shouldn't be able to do this. Like, not that I was like, not that I'm an aspiring filmmaker and feel like he's making the movie I want to make. It's just like, you have so much talent so soon. And like, it's weird and scary. And like, I feel like this is a totally different movie than like The Witch, and like, the Robert Eggers trajectory is different than this, but like both these guys just in this comparison were so good so fast. And it's just amazing to see, I think.
And it's funny that you say that so good so fast because it's true.
Hmm.
You know, and you read about Charlotte Wells who made After Sun, which was a beautiful, but
Mm,
like she had been made short films. She had, like she but like like Celine Song, they were all playwrights. They were just veterans.
right.
They made incredible first time features. I'm not saying that, but like he was Cooper was just a kid, a guy in college who made a short, raised a few dollars, and then makes this. Like he wasn't classically trained. He wasn't in the industry for years. He didn't have a budget. And then he churns out this thing. And you know how many, I guarantee you that there's been 43,000 movies made exactly like Shithouse. And
Yeah.
none of them reach the heights of Shithouse. It's, I don't care if I'm putting praise on this movie. I love this film, man. So I got this IFC year end thing for your consideration. This mass block of movies. It was like 2021, 2020, and
Okay.
I was watching, like, me. I love me some Undine. I love me some Benedetta. I love
Yeah,
me
I was
some
I was
Bergman
just looking
Island.
because when you said IFC's run during the pandemic, I'm just looking here on IMDb of all the movies they put out, and like The Nest into
Yeah,
Undine into this movie into Holler into like there's a lot that were like Little Fish, like a lot of movies pretty tightly together, all within the span of a year, just like all under the radar, not under the radar, but like kind of under the radar gems.
yeah, and it was great for me. And then just watching this movie, this is a rare character, and the reason I like Alex is, he was absolute whatever. He was absolutely coddled growing up, but he's still kind of cool. He can dance. He can play some ball. He's got some good retorts when needed. Like think about like DJ Qualls from Road Trip, right? Or
Mm,
the absolute caricatures that, so I'm 41, and the caricatures that we grew up with in cinema, like you had the bro, the jock, the
right.
Stifler, the Oz. Like I remember watching American Pie and just being like, I like Oz. He's sensitive. Like that was my thought. Like I was like,
Hmm.
Jim's an idiot. Like that other guy's an idiot. The rookie of the year, whatever. Like he's just a whiny little punk. But I was like, Oz is kind of like I liked Oz. I was like, he's like the sensitive of the group, a sensitive kid. And so like I like him in this movie though. Cooper. He's not I wouldn't say he's socially awkward. He had one foot out the door and was having a hard time adjusting. But like whenever you see him around people, he's got some funny jokes. He's got some good retorts, like the
Well, I think
turtle.
that's the
Yeah,
thing. It's like he's not a weird. He's just not trying, right? Like
yeah,
like in his conversations with his stuffed animal dog or wolf or whatever that is,
yeah. His
he's just
dad.
and his oh,
That's his dad.
is that his actual dad?
Yeah, he's
It is his
envisioning
actual
it.
dad,
He's
Mike Raiff.
self-parenting. Yeah, and he's saying that. Oh, but he's also saying that like the dog was like in the voice of a middle-aged man who represents his dad.
Okay, I see that, but it's just like he's not dumb, he's not shy, he's not whatever. He's just like not trying, right? He's just like I don't want to be here. I'm homesick.
Hmm.
Like my roommate, my freshman year roommate in college was so powerfully homesick. So the first day of school, I move in and I think we got like our roommate assignment or whatever. I'm 36, so my freshman year was 2006, and we got like our the name in the mail or whatever. So Facebook was still relatively new, so we were like Facebook messaging like, oh, like here's what I'm bringing, here's what you're bringing, whatever. And we get there and like he just seems nice. And I remember the first day of school, this girl who had become like my best friend at college, Michelle, came and knocked on our door because she had an equally shy, homesick roommate. She's like, I can't, I need to like the anti Cooper, just like I need to get out and meet people because like I'm going to go crazy if I just like sit in my room all day. So she and I sort of hit it off because we were just like both kind of like more outgoing. But my roommate was just like kind of Coopery, kind of Alex in this movie, where just like he was just in his shell, like he was like the self-imposed, like he would just like sit on the computer. I'd be like, you want to come out with us? Like go get food? He's like, no. Then he'd just like sit on his computer and like watch videos from home, and I'm just like I don't know how to fix it. Was bad, and by the end of the year he was better. Like he didn't like drop out. I think he stuck around. Like we did not live together because for many different reasons. Again, I just felt so bad. So like I think like I didn't really, we'll do a thing later in terms of like characters that we like relate to, connect to, whatever. Like I don't really relate to Alex in this movie, but I know that this is a very real thing. But yeah, no, I had a really nice freshman year. Made a bunch of friends who I'm still friends with, and didn't really party. Like I didn't drink until I was 22. I didn't go to parties really till my senior year, and for no reason. I was just like, nah, do other
Mm.
things. So I didn't like find myself at a titular shithouse or the basketball party or whatever till my senior year, but no, I liked it.
Nice. Yeah, freshman year, I never went to a college, never had the dorm experience because my
Mm,
parents divorced when I was younger, and so I my went and moved with my dad for a year to go to junior college at St. Pete College. So I just did 1 year there because like I hadn't lived with him in I don't know elementary school. So I was like, I don't know, catch up. So I got a job at a movie theater, which I had been working at in the summers when I was there. I went to a place called St. Pete College, which was a good thing because I didn't even know how to write an essay. I got through high school, passed, did all my SATs, got a 75% scholarship. Then I was in class. I was like, what is all this stuff?
mm.
You know, great high schooling. But, I worked at a theater. I ended up, see, I was a freshman in college. I was dating a senior in college. She was a manager at
Whoa.
a Chuck E. Cheese. So that was
Wow.
interesting. Discovered Halo, partied. And then sophomore year, I moved to Florida State. And then that's when I had the roommates, but I had three of them. And so I was 19, 20. They were all seniors, just then the guys across the hall were straight up drug dealers. One of them got arrested for passing fake cash. Another guy became my roommate the year later, but I had to get him Baker acted. He's doing great now. It was,
Wow.
and then another guy became my roommate and he stole a bunch of my stuff.
How are you this full of news stories every time I talk to you?
I lived it, man.
I
Like
know, but still, every single time, it's remarkable.
and yeah, well, I've seen it, I guess. But yeah, so then I moved in with them. But so the point, like my brother was 2 years older and he was there as well. So I never had the dorm room. Like I never had the homesick because I lived with seniors.
Mm,
I lived with
hmm.
21-year-olds. And like, I had an ID. So like I went to the clubs, like we did the drinking. We did like the first week I moved in, there was like three kegers. So like we just, it just rolled. It's like all my roommates were just old dudes, just and then the guys across the hall and yeah, and then so I never had that like dorm room. And plus, I bounced back and forth between my homes, like lived in it. So I never had that homesickness and I never had the coddling that Alex did. Like I like Alex, but he's in a different universe than a lot of
Oh,
people.
for sure. And also, I lived my college was an hour from my house, so like I would still go home. Like I would go home to do laundry because like it was just easier. You know what I mean? Like, or I would
Yeah.
go home to like watch football with my dad or whatever. Like I would like it was not like, oh my God, I'm 1,500 miles away or 500 miles away from home. Like it takes like, an all day drive or a flight or something. Just like, no, if I want to go home, I'll be home in an hour. Like it's that kind of, so it's far enough to be like independent, but also close enough to be like, you know, like that. I think that's mostly the New Jersey experience. I think a lot of people in New Jersey go to New Jersey state schools like within an hour of, but that just seems to be like how things happen here. But I don't know.
I mean, totally honest, man. I was not going out. I wasn't going out of state. I wasn't building up that debt. I didn't have
Mm,
the thing to go out of state to that. But yeah, man, it was cool. And then I did intramural football, but I was 19. Like and then I played with all seniors. So like I never, maybe there were some of the kids in my classes, but like I never hung out with like sophomores. Like, hey, Mark, man, like when I was a sophomore, I would live with all seniors. So then I met sophomores. I was like, oh, these young kids, like I never. So I mean, I guess I had the complete opposite experience.
right. Yeah.
However, I will say though that I was an absolute blend of Alex, Maggie, and Sam. Like if you put them in a blender, and
Okay.
like I was that kid, really. Like I party my ass off.
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of issues to still deal with. It was emotional, 6'4", 250-pound guy. So like that caught a lot of people off guard. So it wasn't like, yeah, that's why I like this movie because I wasn't one of these three, but I was all three of them.
Well, I think they're also all real. Like
They're
you were saying,
real. These are
about like
real
the
kids. Yeah.
the road trip or the American Pie or whatever. Like the movie starts off with like Sam, his roommate, being like a caricature almost of like every like bad roommate or like every like college frat guy, and then the movie somehow makes him even worse. And then by the end, like sort of when Alex opens up to him, like becomes like a real person. You know what I mean? Like he's still like kind of like maybe not the guy you would choose to live with or want to be friends with or whatever, but like still could be a good dude, right? And I think that there's something. I think like one of the smartest things this movie does is like really not limit the number of characters and limit the amount of time, right? It's like it's basically a weekend, except for the 2.5 year coda, which I hate, and we'll talk about that. And like basically like three kids, mostly two, but three, and his mom, right? And a sister, kind of, right? But like that's it. Like that's all you need to worry about. And I think there's something like you don't need to like fully develop 30 characters over the span of an entire school year. It's just like these are my softball friends. This is the handsome guy who serves me food at the cafeteria. This is the guy who like I'm gonna become friends with or whatever. Like that's the extent of the characterization you need. And just like if these three characters and mom and sister and like this weekend makes sense, it works and it does.
Yeah, and I think I've had many nights like the ones he's had, like just all nighters. We were everywhere. Places you shouldn't be. It's probably a good night. Places are closed. You have to pivot. Like you have some gnarly nights in your life. So I think that's why it's attractive, this film. And also,
Hmm.
I don't like how, I mean, I get it's inevitable, but a lot of people are going at him for like Cha Cha Real Smooth and this, like, oh, it's like The Graduate or it's like Before Sunrise. And he said he fought back against the Before Sunrise thing at first because the Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy are much more philosophical and older than Alex and Maggie.
But they get into a lot of heavy shit in this
Yeah,
movie.
that's but it's more truthful heavy shit. Like I feel like
Sure.
the conversations in Before Sunset are beautiful. Like when I first met Megan, she knew how much I love the movie, so she did like this little thing where this guy makes a speech and there's text all over it, and it looks awesome because she knows how much I love Ethan Hawke. So I'm not dogging on it, but like this movie's more about like, tell me about yourself. Oh, that was boring. Tell me about your parents. Like it's not just like life and
Yeah,
Nietzsche and
that
like
movie feels like before sun rises first, sunrise, sunset, moon, midnight, right? Sunrise first. But all of those, whatever ones, yeah, all of those feel like the movie version of this, which is also still a movie, right? It's just like, what would this French woman, this American man say if they met on the streets of whatever? Just like, or like, what would these two college kids talk about? Like, her turtle died, and like, does she believe in this? Like, she's like freaked out about God, right? It's just like, oh, okay, yeah.
and then colorblind. I love how different they are, but then he made sure that they were colorblind to have some similarities between them. But we got to talk about, so we haven't talked about Dylan Galula.
Okay, so let me talk about Dylan Gelula because she's the reason I found this movie in the first place. I love her so much. So she has a podcast with
Oh,
Brothy Gupta. They do lecture halls, a Patreon podcast. Brothy Gupta, now a writer for The Simpsons, but just like very funny on Twitter. Their podcast is wonderful. I love it. But I love Dylan as an actor. She was first on Kimmy Schmidt and then Support the Girls, which is amazing. She's in this. She's in Dream Scenario. She's great. Like I really, really, I think she's such like a naturalistic actor. I think she's so good in this. I think she's got this demeanor that like not really as a knock. Like I don't know that she has a ton of range, but I think that what she can do is just like so realistic and so good. And I think she's great in this movie, and I will watch a bunch of stuff that she's in just because I think she is great. And again, podcast wonderful too.
you know what's great about hers? So for me, sometimes I'll listen to the movie because I have an hour and a half commute in the morning, sometimes to work.
Mm,
And so I'll just listen to it. Like I'll put it on my phone. I won't look at it because like I'm in Atlanta rush hour traffic. So I just
hmm.
listen to it. And I learned that Cooper wrote the script and he included the commas and the ums and the likes because when you're shooting in 21 days, you don't have time to be like, all right, fire an improv at me. Like you don't
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
have that time. So they worked on it, they rehearsed it, they kind of went to Edgar Wright where they rehearsed, they edited the script, they locked the script, and then when they went into production, they just did it because that's what they had time for. So it's like, but listening to her, like, what? No, like, huh? Wait, wait, Mount Fiji? No, food. What did you say? Fuji? Like, just. And I read some interviews with her. She over prepares for roles, so like she has this very naturalistic delivery. But I think it comes from really hard work from her
Well,
part.
I think it's all really hard work, and I also think that like she is so perfectly fat. Like again, like I mostly know her from the podcast, but the podcast, like she's everyone's somewhat of a character on a podcast, whatever. But like I feel like the way that she talks like this just sort of feels like her in a way that, maybe the ums and the likes and the hesitations and the pauses and the word confusions or whatever are written, but I think it also is true to the way that she would sort of behave in these situations. And I think it's great. It's great.
Just I get why she likes Alex too. She had a bad night, and I like they're at the party, right? And she's like, I like your shirt. Oh, which shirt? Like that's a funny little
Yeah.
intro when they're at shit house, and then he hears about her plan. Then he meets her later on when his roommate poops himself, and he leaves his room to go sleep in another room. But yeah, like I like he's like, hey, how was your plan? Like, and then I think she liked that, and then they just have jokes back and forth, and just I don't know the two of them. I like the two of them together. Like, I don't know. They just work. They definitely have that chemistry.
I mean, it's very sort of beautiful that like she kind of only starts talking to him because she's horny, right? Like she thinks she's gonna hook up with this guy that she has a crush on. He comes too soon. And then she's just like, well, there goes my night. But then she just like still wants to do something, right? And she just sees a guy who she, maybe had a spark with earlier. And then that doesn't happen, but like they realize how much they have in common, right? So like it's a very kind of like believable, but also just like a true to life, like, man, I'm in the mood for something tonight. You know what I mean? Just like who can I find, right? And just, oh yeah.
Yeah. And then Alex is sitting there, and I like later when he's gonna leave. He's like, "Thank you for being so nice to me." Like this is the interesting. there's some lines in this movie that I just absolutely adore when he's like, yeah, thank you for being so nice to me. And I also like that, she ghosts him, but she also sort of puts him in his place because listen, he's a super nice kid, but I know his dad passed and he's been through hard times and he misses home, but he said it himself, he's just been really coddled. And his sister seems
Mm-hmm.
awesome, his mom seems awesome. Like that seems in my world growing up, I don't know how I would deal with that. Like I don't think I had any friends. None of my friends had that in their lives. None of them. So like maybe that's like it's like if I met him, I don't know how I would deal with him. But I think I would like him because he's a super nice kid. But I guess when she tells him like, listen, man, like people are different. Like this isn't, I'm not that. Like I think that was good. I think that was good for him to
Right.
have that. Like that's how you grow in college is you have those nights, you have those heartbreaks, you have those learning experiences. I think this was good for him. Both of them, I guess. But I do the truth that they were dropping on each other, man. Can you imagine saying that when you're 19? Like,
No, that's crazy. I also, I think the way you handle him is like kind of the way that, like, I think one on one, he's probably a lot because, you see him send her like 12 Instagram messages in a row or whatever, right? But like, if you're already in a group of friends and like they're coming by, like, hey, you want to play softball with us? Like, or whatever, right? Like, just like there's less pressure, right? And I think that's kind of what he needs. Like, I think the one on one, like, he just overshares, unloads, whatever, thinks that, I've been there. I'm sure. I would guess you've been there. I think everybody's
oh
been there, which is
yeah.
like, oh no, I met my wife tonight. Like this girl, we just had sex, kind of, a little bit, not really, but kind of, right? We naked made out, and I told her so much stuff. I'm like, this was the start of the rest of my life. And then like the next day, you're like, oh no, that was just last night, right? It was just like, right? It's just like you had a very nice special time with someone. I don't know, but
In his
yeah,
world, though, he was expecting that. He did
yeah.
fall in love. And I think his hurt is real.
Well, there is something in this movie about like when after he stays over and like she goes to get ready or whatever comes back, she's like, "Oh, you're still here." Like it's like there's this social contract that she knows that he does not
He
know,
doesn't know, yeah.
but
He's a
like there's
puppy
no other
dog.
way that he would know, right? Because
Yeah.
like dad's not around. He said he like seems like he had like a high school girlfriend he was with maybe all of high school. They broke up when he went to college, and like he hasn't had a one night stand before or whatever. But just the way she's like, "Oh, you're still here." It's like, "Oh yeah," too. And then he like doesn't get that hint either, right? It's just like, ooh, ooh,
Yeah, and he
ooh.
just stands around and it's so awkward. And there's no one to blame there either. It's just a I don't know, it's just watching the two of them grow up, right? It's watching a really awkward college experience. Just watching this puppy dog get for like, I don't know, kicked, I guess. That's a
Yeah.
weird term. Or a turtle. A turtle get dumped into a trash can.
Mm,
And but it's I don't know. This movie, I hate saying it. It's just kind of truthful, man. It doesn't and you know why it was written by a 22-year-old. A lot of these movies that you watch, it's like 45-year-old Hank Beluga writes sex comedy 3, like three horny guys are in the city,
yep.
and then
Hmm.
they meet a prostitute with a heart of gold, and you're like, who this and there's like tons of references to like, I don't know, Charlie Chaplin, and then you like it's like Paul Newman in Reds, or no, that's Warren Beatty in Reds, and you're like, what?
Well,
Who's
so in the interviews and everything you heard, because like one of my favorite, and he's canceled now, but one of my favorite filmmakers is Shane Carruth, and I remember he was talking about trying to cast Primer, and was just like, none of these people can do it. I need to do it myself. And he just cast himself because like he couldn't. He tried to find someone, he couldn't. Like in all the interviews you listened to with Cooper Raiff, did he try to find someone else, or was he always write this for himself to star in?
So he said that he didn't want to be in it, and he didn't
Okay.
want to star in Cha Cha Real Smooth either. But Dakota was like, "No, you're going to be in this." And he's like, "Okay," but yeah, he didn't want
I
to
mean, yeah,
be in
when
it,
Dakota Johnson says you're going to be in the movie, you're like, okay, I'll be
and
in the
she's
movie.
producing it. Like it's
Hmm.
like yeah, so yeah, he didn't want to star in it. But I mean, listen, if he's not in this movie, I don't think it works. I don't think it works. I think you have to be close to it. I think you have to feel it. He was talking about his mom, like growing up with his mom. He says mom was a psychologist and like she just cries every day, and he watched her cry and he grew up with those emotions and he was coddled as well when he was younger. So uh he's like, when I was but for me, I was coddled, and when I got to school I wasn't coddled. And so I think he had to bring a lot of that into himself. Like he didn't have a safety net. Like I think he had a safety net his whole life. And he just said his like mom one time, and I think this movie is a love letter to moms too, because he said that one time he came home and surprised his mom for her birthday and she just started crying because He's like, moms do a lot of work that goes underappreciated, but when the kids do a
Mm,
little bit of work to like show you you love them, moms kind of feel it.
yeah.
And so, he said he said he drank a lot. He said he ghosted people. But this movie, I'm telling you, this movie doesn't work without him. You can't have like a Chalamet. You can't have a like you can't have anybody else because you have to be someone athletic. You have to be a good-looking kid, horribly awkward, horribly coddled, you
Willing to look bad on screen.
willing to look bad on screen. This kid in this movie, I'm not being, I'm a teacher and I call my kids kids and I have like 4-year-olds. I'm like, then I'm like, oh my God, I'm not trying to call you kids, but so I keep using that phrase. But I don't see how this works with somebody else. I don't see how this works with someone who's a little bit more cocksure, right? I don't see how this works with someone who's has more self confidence. I don't
Yeah.
see somebody who, you can't be jaded. You can't be a cynic. Like this is a very fine line to walk, which is why he needed to be in it.
Yeah, because I was thinking, when you were saying that, why does this work? Because it's like, it was written by a college kid, right? Or it was written by someone that age, not like some 45-year-old like panel of dudes who write a movie about being a college kid. But it's also like, it's like true to either his experience or an experience that he feels so deeply that he can write about. You know what I mean? Like, not that every like auteur, like not that everybody who like writes a movie like this should star in it, but like maybe it's better. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, does Annie Hall work if John Belushi's the lead?
The whole like wood, like
Wait, that
the
doesn't make
Woody thing,
sense.
like
But you know
well,
what I
like
mean?
no, I know, but like the Woody stand-in, like where like Owen Wilson plays Woody Allen in this movie,
Yeah.
just I don't know, man. Like he can only write kind of one character. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I know
I
I
get what you
brought up a
mean.
weird name, but you know what I mean.
I
It's
am curious though, like if the next movie like he's doing, was it Thrashers, The Thrashers, whatever. I think he's also starring in that though. Like if he will write a movie, say in the next like 5 years, where he's like still theoretically like this age-ish, and he casts someone like, I'm curious to see if the male lead is a Cooper Raiff type or someone, you know what I mean? Like, could he play this and he's just not? Like, can he write for something other than like sort of who he is? Because like the character in Cha-Cha Will Smith's not the same as this, but it's not like wildly different, right? Like it's a similar-ish kind of thing, which is not as a bad thing. 'Cause I think I love that movie too, but it's not like he's writing like captain the football team or whatever. You know what I mean? Like different.
You're a baseball fan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Pitchers. Let's say a rookie pitcher has an incredible fastball. How long can they get away with that fastball? Like
I
we're talking like a shithouse level fastball.
You realistically need like a second pitch.
Do you think he has a second pitch? I mean, he can
Huh?
direct and write. I mean, I think he has many pitches though, because he can be like when he's going out there playing basketball and his ghost dad comes out and hangs out with him. Like he's got skill out there. Like he's got
Well,
jokes.
I also think it's funny that like on that basketball court, he like misses 4 shots in a row. It's just like you watch all these like movies where just like no look behind the back swish. It's just like this guy is like chunking up like bricks, brick after brick.
And that wide shot, man. Like I just want to give some props real quick before we forget to Rachel Klein, the cinematographer. She
Yeah.
really liked the sex scene that I think she shot. She shot that beautifully. There's a couple scenes where he's standing up and she's in the bed that's really dark, but that's not the point of the movie. It's about being shot in a dorm room. This movie fails if it looks like a Lifetime movie. Like
Yes.
this needs to look like a dorm room movie,
Yeah.
and it works. But I
Hmm.
guess I guess what I'm saying about him is, let's say you got a good fastball and a good. He throws in some good curves every now and again in his movies. So you got a good, really good fastball and a decent curveball. How long is that going to get you by?
I mean, if they're good enough, a long time.
So I mean, he's got a good game. Like, so if he does this and he goes and plays. I think there's enough nuance to his characters, man. This isn't a one note character, right? This is not.
True. True.
These guys have some range, so I think he can get away with it for a while. And also, too, man, like Dakota got a lot to do, and Dylan got a lot to do.
Sure.
Even the idiot but like roommate Logan, but Logan just hates Alex. He's like, you're an idiot. You're the worst roommate. Like having like you come in drunk and your roommate's like, can I get you water? You okay? You need a tissue? Like you're 19 years old and you're plastered. You're probably like, just leave me alone, man. Just let me like poop my pants in
Let me
peace.
drink this bottle of water. No, it's vodka, man.
So I mean, yeah, I think he's got a curveball and a fastball. And I think when he gets a little older, he might have to do like a changeup, maybe the magic sock. I don't know, get some sandpaper, find a way to sneak some sandpaper in there to cheat a little bit to keep up his speed. But
Sure.
I think he's got enough to get him by because we've seen one note directors and stars, actors. Like they don't. I think Zach Braff, Garden
Back
State.
to Garden State.
Listen, man, you got to understand the Shins and Coldplay. When I saw it, I was like, hey, this guy's like, I mean, he was totally numb in it. I don't really know like just cruising around town with Natalie Portman, hanging out, like people in knights costumes. And after that, he tried to do it again with like Wish You Were Here.
Right.
And it just doesn't work. It does not work. I like Zach Braff, but it does not work because his character was numb. And then like he finds this readily available girl. And this one, Maggie finds him. So he finds her, they fall in love. Like he's an actor, he's rich, but he's got, he's just my dad, I killed my mom. I put her in it was that stupid latch. Just
the dishwasher.
Yeah, the dull stupid dishwasher.
I don't like that movie at all.
No,
for the record, I do not
think,
like that movie at all.
I think that movie's richer though because of Sarsgaard and Method Man and just the various characters that you like. Serpico, like the guy who shoots the arrow up in the air and they have to run around. It works for me, but I realize how silly like the Natalie Portman character is, even though she defends it. She's like, I wasn't getting any roles like that at the time, so I figured I would take it. But he didn't. What I'm saying about Braff is he didn't adapt. I think Cooper can because Shithouse didn't blow up. I think Garden State made a lot of money. The soundtrack was huge. It was
like Garden
popular.
State, like comparing the two, like Garden State is the movie for a certain group of people. Like you're like people who are within 2 years of 40 or what, like that's like that's their experience for better or worse, right? And like
it's a unicorn. I'm telling you, no matter the faults of it, for me in like early 20s, it was a unicorn. I swear to you, man.
And I wonder, like, I mean, I don't have people. So if that came out in 2004, this came out in 2020, that would mean that people, in college, right? Like between 20 and 25 right now. So I don't know a lot of people that age who like if this is that for them. But I also think that like there's no more monoculture. Like not that Garden State was monoculture, but like there's so much to watch now. Like this is a movie that like if I didn't know who Dylan Gelula was, if you didn't like obsessively watch everything that IFC sent you, like we might not have seen it. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a great movie, but I'm sure there's a lot of great movies that like we just haven't seen that like just because there's too much to watch. It's tough. So I think that this could be the same kind of thing. Like, I wonder if there were fewer things or this got a wider release or didn't come out during COVID or any number of factors or whatever. Could this have been New Garden State? Maybe it still is. Maybe it is. We just don't know about it. I don't know.
I wish I watched this when I was in college, just watching him with the one foot out the door, seeing his roommate, seeing that the way that the two dealt with each other the morning of, just hearing those feelings and hearing those truths. No one was saying that. It was just whiny dudes. I'm telling you, there's not any of that. Like I remember I watched Before Sunset and I just felt revelatory because I was like, oh man, people are talking. Like I'm telling you, it wasn't. So now watching this, and I guess that's why I connect with it. Like I love the final speech at the end. Where he's like, I just can't call you guys. Like I gotta live my life. I have to try. It's a very interesting thing to say. And just watching the two of them throughout the course of the night, like the failed hooking up, and then they go out and walk, and then they do, and then it's awkward, and like he gets over himself and he grows. Like that, there's a lot that happens in this movie that I just watched. I was like, I wish I saw this when I was in college. I wish when I was a kid, I had this movie. And I think that's why we're in a great time for filmmaking. I mean,
sure,
these movies can win South by Southwest. People can go make movies now, and movies have a far reach on streaming. More, streaming. I've been doing this data. I'm writing a video. It'll be out by the time we talk about this, but it's about like women in the Oscars, and it's horrifying, the stats. But like we're hearing about streaming channels, they're much more exclusive and or inclusive. They're much more inclusive, and they care more about diversity and voices, and it's awesome, man. Like we're getting so many cool new things out because of the expanding world of streaming and the availability of it. Back in 2004, YouTube was maybe popular, right? Like that's when, and like Sunny, Sunny, It's Always Sunny got popular. So then like people are like, oh, YouTube could do it. And it's like, and then like,
or for Sunny, they shot that pilot, the original pilot, which wasn't the one that they aired, but like the thing they sold to FX, they shot for $250.
Yeah, I just plopped it on YouTube. Like Issa Rae was on YouTube. So I think YouTube was the channel, but now it's so many more avenues to get there, and I love it. So I think what I like about this movie is I think so many movies disappear into the wasteland of streaming, And that's not the fault of the movies. That's not the fault of streaming. It's just the amount of content that's coming out in the content
Yes.
wars during the pandemic.
Yes.
But I think people who watch Shithouse, they're like, hey man, you watch Shithouse? Yeah, I watch Shithouse. You like Shithouse? Yeah, I love Shithouse. You watch Cha Cha Real Smooth? Yeah, I love Cha Cha Real Smooth. Like it's
Hmm.
gonna be one of those. I think. I think there's gonna be a community built, and the more popular he gets, I think the more people go back and watch these movies. Because listen, man, I thought Shithouse was like Project X. I'm like, is
Yeah, what
this
do you think of the title? Does the title help it or hurt it?
what else could it be? Like
Well, so in other
walking,
countries,
walking and talking.
hmm,
You know, like Dead Turtle Society.
because it's also stylized as like S hashtag
Yeah.
exclamation percent sign house, right? But like it's also known as freshman year, which is a terrible title.
Oh, oof.
That's a Garden State knockoff. Have you ever seen one? You know what I mean? Like, oh, freshman year.
What's that? What's that one with Elizabeth Olsen and How I Met Your Mother? It's like liberal arts.
Oh, oh,
No.
wait, Zac Efron's in that.
Hey, nice.
We did that for the Zac Attack podcast.
Liberal arts.
Yeah, no, no. Is that
Homesick, colorblind.
like I don't know what you call it. I mean,
I,
Shithouse is a great title because like it sticks with you.
I pooped my pants. Let's see. You're not attractive. Let's see. You're trouble. You're not trying. Not trying. Cold shower.
Did you look up the budget for this movie?
So they never really give the exact titles. I just know it's shot in 21 days. Like
According
the number
to
was like
according to Reddit, you want to guess how much this movie cost?
15K.
Spot on.
So maybe I did hear it.
Cooper Raiff's debut feature, Shithouse, also reportedly cost $15,000 to make it. That's in 2020 money. Post production alone would cost as much on the 90-minute feature I'm working on.
So I must have read that somewhere because I just nailed that.
Because like well, I mean, look, we play numbers games on every episode too fast, and Joe gets stuff right, and I'm just like, you're cheating. But then like sometimes like he's like way off. He's like, no, it's pretty close. So I was like, no, you weren't. Like you can't have it both. Whatever. That's the Joe
Wait,
thing.
what about 19 going on 13?
Ooh, because they do have the 13 going on 30 joke in this.
Yeah, you're a little girl in a big body.
It also kind of drove me a little crazy that Dylan's character Maggie like Google's Jennifer Garner 13 going on 30 pics. It's like, no, just go to images. Don't search pics. What are you doing? 19 going on 13 would it's better title than freshman year.
Little girl in big body. Freshman bouncer bitch.
Well, there was that movie. What was it? Daniel Radcliffe movie that was like originally called like the F word, and then they changed it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What if?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was called the F word before or something. I mean, a movie that you might have covered on this podcast already, or if not, it's the kind of movie that you would cover, but like The Black Coat's Daughter,
Oh yeah.
I saw one was called February, which is a worse, but I think also a better title.
Listen, yeah. It's like one of my favorite movies of the last probably 20 years. That's also very sensitive and deals with loneliness. I
Yeah.
love loneliness. Like maybe just loneliness. Like I he's lonely in this movie. There's a sense of loneliness, sadness,
Yep.
emotion, openness. So that really does connect with me. And Blackcoat's daughter, woofda, she'd rather have a demon inside her than be alone because she's just so alone. What a movie. That's a good back-to-back watch.
Can we talk about the end of
Bad
this
nights
movie?
on school campuses.
Ooh, that's a good list.
Yeah, what's the end? The 2.5 year jump?
Okay, so they kind of in the span of the weekend, right? Like she goes on Instagram, she likes a couple of his pictures, puts the phone down, like is nervous, like should I have done that? Whatever. He sees it. He has like the biggest smile he's had all movie. Movie ends. Should end. Instead, 2.5 years later, half of an Avengers Endgame. Like they actually get together. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need
No.
the concrete resolution. Just end it.
So in his head, so on a lot of the stuff that he was talking about, he said that you don't know if it's going to last because it's almost kind of cynical because she's about to graduate and she's just clinging on to him because she's going out into the real world.
Yeah.
So that's what he implied. But I'm like, that's kind of sad. And he's like, of course, Alex would say yes to her, but she's like, yeah, I don't know if you need it, but also maybe he wanted that happy ending. Maybe he wanted.
But I think the ending in the movie, in like before the jump, is also a happy ending.
Yeah.
I think it's optimistic. I think this is like, no, man, they get together. And like, even if even if he's like, which I didn't think about, that she's doing it because she's afraid or whatever, she's using him, he's got friends, whatever. There's something beautiful about this small, like incremental, she liked the thing of his on Instagram. I like that as an ending.
Yeah, because that's a nice. That was she reached out
Yeah.
and did that, and so then it's like maybe not tomorrow, maybe not later, but that's good closure, and then you're done. Yeah, I mean,
Like I don't dislike the coda. I mean, I kind of dislike the coda, but like it doesn't ruin the movie for me, but I think the movie is a much better movie without it.
No, I have a question. By this point, had he made his bed and worked out?
Yeah,
And oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah, then yeah, cut that because I liked watching him make his bed. I like watching him going and working out. I liked that because it showed some progress. He was starting to take care of himself.
yes.
He was entering the world.
And I think that it also shows like her liking the stuff is that like people will literally and metaphorically like you for who you are. Like you don't have to change. Like you can leave it all out there and not everyone's gonna it's not gonna click with everybody, but like it's gonna work.
He doesn't take off his paint stained overalls and suddenly change. I like, you know what's interesting about his awkwardness? In a lot of movies, awkwardness makes you there's cringe awkwardness, right? You just want to crawl underneath something during some
Uh-huh.
awkward scenes in movies. But this one, his awkwardness, people are like, I get it, man. Like, remember when he's getting his food? He's like, hey, man, you want to sit with us? He's like, well,
Yeah.
like no one's like, oh, this idiot, or it's not cringy. It's like, hey, man, just go sit with him. Like, come on. And he's like, yeah, I'll go sit with you. Like, it's interesting awkwardness in this movie. Would you
I mean,
say?
it is cringy, but it's a believable cringy. It's not like a, oh, I can't. It's like it's cringy because like you can relate. It's not cringy because like I can't believe he's doing that, right? Just like, oh no, I can believe he's doing that, and like it's so uncomfortable.
It's not dream scenario with Dylan uncomfortable with the two
Oh,
farts and the premature ejaculation.
she's
I
gonna be in
laughed.
Smile too, and
I laughed
I do not like Smile, but I have to see Smile too for her. Yeah, go ahead.
so hard at that scene in Dream Scenario.
It's so good.
Like, like I guess the director's like, he's like, Nick Cage is like, why can't we do four farts? He's like, well, we should probably do because that's like a sick of myself guy.
Yeah,
And he was like, I don't know, let's just stick. Let's do three. Like so, like Nicolas Cage would have gone all in on the farts, but poor Dylan, she has some very interesting experiences in films that are very good and awkward. But
yeah,
that scene made me laugh because it made me think about Shithouse. It's just Nick Cage farting.
it's
Oh,
good.
needs to be a title of a podcast series. Just Nick Cage's farts.
Well, I'm just thinking about farting like Swiss Army Man, where like the Daniels thesis statement with that was that the first fart would make you laugh, the last fart would make you cry.
And then,
It's good cinematic farting, man.
hey, so real quick, I had something to think about. So in this movie, he got four songs, and they were the four songs that he listened to the most to in college, and he actually got all four songs that he wanted. So I started thinking about songs that I listened to the most in college. Not so I worked at a bar, so I had to listen to like Bon Jovi and Pour Some Sugar on Me every
Ooh,
night. But in like what to the windows, like I'm not talking about those songs. I'm talking about
yep,
the songs that you listen to,
yep,
not just by nature of like you heard it every night at the bar. So I thought about it, and I would do. They had a Coldplay Live 2003 or 2002, and I would take
yep,
the Scientist from that.
yep.
I had my CD player, and I would go to the library, and so yeah. So one of my things in college, man, like I would be like, the roommate. I would be like the roommate coming home. I would be like Sam, but I would always be in class. So I would never miss class. And I remember I had a class on a Friday morning because Thursday night that's when everyone goes out and parties on a Friday morning. And I remember one of my friends, she played for FSU basketball team. And so I would roll in. She's like, did you just come out of a gutter? Like, where'd you come from? But I would always go to class.
Mm,
That was my superpower. Like, no matter what night I had, I would be in class the next day. I was like, yeah. So I just want to let everyone know about that. But the songs I would listen to, Coldplay Live, The Scientist. I would definitely do My Tears Don't Matter Much by Lucero, my favorite band of all time. I started a band called the Brewskis, and we had a song called Light Beers Don't Matter Much, which is pretty great.
very nice.
I would probably have to take Mr. Brightside because I listened to the shit out of that song,
Sure.
man. Like I just obliterated that song. So I have three. Probably maybe because like Feeling This. I'll say Feeling This by Blink came out
I don't know if I
around
know
that
that
time.
song. I know I would know it if I heard it, but I don't know
Yeah.
by name.
So I would say those four. Did you have any music that you just listen to over and over and over and over again in
So
college?
what's very I don't know if it's weird. I didn't really grow up with music, and like I have so many friends who like music is like their thing. And they're like, "Well, would you listen to growing up?" Not really, not nothing really. Like my dad likes Elvis, but like we listen to like Elvis's greatest hits or whatever, right? And then my mom like never listened to her own music. We just like listen to the radio. And so I went to college and I finally like was introduced to like other music. And then I introduced myself sort of to a lot of music through like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. But I remember like my favorite band of all time I discovered in college is Radiohead. Would not an obscure band by any measure, but like for like 6 months, like all I did was listen to Radiohead like on loop.
Not a
And
knock on them, but they're such a beautiful college band. Like
yeah,
when you discover them at a young age, you're like, whoa.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So probably some of their stuff. There was a band we discovered through Guitar Hero, which I think was a
Wolf Mother.
harmonics band, Ben Camaro,
Oh
um,
yeah.
out of Boston. It's drummer, bassist, three guitarists, and like 15 singers. They have a song called Ben Camaro. Their song in Guitar Hero 2 was called Push Push Lady Lightning. We saw them live twice. They are great. I would put something from them on there. My roommate, who I saw them with and would play Rock Band with, loved Iron Maiden. So maybe some Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or something, like some kind of like Ben Camaro-esque heavy metal something or other. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what song was on all the time at like every party I walked through my senior year was MGMT's Kids.
Oh yeah.
Like I think it's a really good song. I really like it. Um, I would never say it's my favorite, but I think I heard that just that entire year. It was just like everywhere.
When I came back for grad school, I worked at an indie bar, and that song was just
Oh,
that what Electric Feel,
hmm.
Kids,
Yep.
and what's the other one? We'll get a divorce, we'll find some more models, everything will run. Time to Pretend. Like those three
Yep.
songs. Holy moly.
Yeah.
They don't, it has it, I was really tired at that time and I was broke and I just like was going through some things. So now I love those songs. When I hear them, it brings me back to those years. And I'm like, yeah, I don't, I get a weird reaction but also those songs are bleak, dude.
Yeah.
But I love
But
them. But they
you know,
hit. All right. Well, that's awesome. Hey, so real quick. So I sent you a weird message and I was like, hey,
yes.
man, let's like talk about movies we've connected with because I watched this and I definitely connected with it. Like I like this movie. I feel I'm not an Alex, I'm not a Maggie, I'm not a Sam, but I did feel the emotion and I really embraced it and I liked it. And I don't connect with any movies. I really don't, but I imagine like Say Anything, right? With Lloyd Dobler. When I was younger, I don't know, like when I was younger, man, like I was really into UFC. I was really into boxing. I was also like a sensitive kid, but I would go by throwing knives after watching Desperado when I was like 13 and throw them into a palm tree and have them bounce back between my toes and almost stab myself. So like I was, I was just an interesting Florida kid, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I was so used to like 80s crap, or like 90s crap.
Sure.
And like around this time, it was like the Tarantino phase, and like, it was just like JCVD and whatever, it was all cool. But I was like, I hadn't connected with anything. And then I just put on Say Anything one day, and here's this guy who's a kickboxer. I was a boxer. I used to box all the time. Like I would have boxing gloves in my trunk, and whoever wanted to match up with me, I would box. Like that was just the way it is. You want to box? Yeah, okay, cool, let's go. So I'll get like 2 weeks OSS. Because like I probably shouldn't box right in front of the school and superintendent's there, but whatever. It was but like I was watching him. He's like, hey, this is a three-dimensional guy who's not like a
Sure.
loser, but he's not cool. But he gets Diane Court, but then he messes it up but he doesn't want to buy, sell, or do anything. He was way more eloquent than I ever was and way better put together than I ever was. He wasn't a complete mess. But I was like, this guy has something that I don't think I've ever seen before in a character. And that was Dobler in Say Anything.
Love that.
Yeah. And then also Doug Glatt from Goon. He was a big like Sean William Scott in
Wait, so how
Goon.
old? So you were high school for Lloyd Dobler?
No. Yeah. So I was high school when I discovered Say Anything.
Okay.
Because
So I'm trying to think like
times were not good for three-dimensional characters back then, man. Like you're like, oh, you're Joey? Are you a Chandler? Like, no,
right,
I'm not
right,
Frasier.
right,
I'm not Sam. Like,
right.
I'm not Martin. Like, I don't know who. No one's any. Like, I'm not Neo. Like, I'm not any of these people. So then I saw Dobler. And I was like, I love this guy. And then Doug Glatt from Goon, just a really good dude, bouncer. I was a bouncer for many years. He was like the like I got threw a lot of people out of bars. I boxed a lot. It's like to see this really nice guy who also was out like the ultimate badass on his team. I think those are probably the movies that I most like thought like I like these guys. I connect with these guys. I'm not them, but they and I would never tweet about it. But I feel like they are. Oh, I'm talking about a podcast, but who cares? But I feel like they're closest to who anything that's ever come on screen to me because I'm not like the jock. I'm not the bad kid. I wasn't like what I mean. Like I wasn't any of that. I was somewhere like all of them put in a blender.
Well, there's the shades of gray, right? That's like
Yeah,
that's what you're saying that you are Alex and you are Maggie and you are Sam. It's like they're all real. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I would say those. Oh, and also Luke Wilson from Bottle Rocket really connected with me
Okay.
when he's not talking about water sports, but he was like this good dude and he had issues, but you don't know what the issues were, but he had them. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. But he's not, but he was cool and he was interesting. So yeah, those are mine. Probably more
I, s-
personal
I
than
spent
you're going,
I
but
spent time thinking about this and I was like, thinking about like joke answers or stuff like that, but I didn't. Like I did not. I'm just looking again at like my movies I love, and like I'm glad that I did not pick Clarence Worley from True Romance. Like, oh man, I'm just such a movie nerd, man. I'm just gotta find my girl. Like, I have three, one of whom we talked about extensively on a previous episode of this podcast. Haley Liu as Casey in Columbus, I just think is so like this is not good. It's not like good, but like putting other people in front of my own needs or whatever, like maybe to all of our detriment, kind of feeling trapped. Like I want to do something else, but I feel like I can't get away. Like I owe other people something. Like I whatever. Like sort of that ennui, whatever. Similarly, I think I was like, who in Fast and Furious? I was like, oh well, we have a quiz that literally answers who I am, and it is true that Jordana Brewster is Mia Toretto, like den mother, like making sure again, similar to the Haley Liu thing, but just like making sure everybody else has a good time, looking after people. That's that. But then also, uh, there is a male character that I do relate to, and I don't know exactly if this is again. I don't know that any of these are flattering, to be honest. I mean, maybe Mia is, but Ryan Gosling as Holland March and the Nice Guy is just like good at your job, but also just like endlessly frustrated by incompetence all around you, and just
Yeah, are you invincible? Are you saying you're invincible?
yeah, yeah,
Because Mia's invincible.
for sure.
Hmm.
But I think those are pretty like
Well, thank you for sharing.
you're welcome. I would like, they're not great. They're not like none of those are just like, oh, I really want to be that person, right? It's just like,
You know,
but
it's funny. I was talking with Megan about this earlier, and she's like, I was like, no, nope. I watched thousands of movies, and I've never really related to any characters. And then she goes, "Is that an indictment on filmmaking? Like, are they not supposed to connect with you? Like, are they just tropes? Like, what? Like, it's kind of crazy how many movies we've watched and we haven't connected. Like, I've connected with songs. Like, I feel like I've spiritually bonded with songs. Like, there's a song called "The First Single" by The Format that I've bonded with, or like "Run" from Snow Patrol, or "One Headlight" from Wallflowers. Like, I feel like they've spiritually connected to me, or "My Tears Don't Matter Much" from Lucero. But I've never connected with really like that's me up there, guys. Like, I've never felt that, but I've just my connections are more like, there that's three-dimensional. This person can do multiple things at once. Is that an indictment on
I
mood?
don't
Like,
know. I wonder, like we were talking about this before we started recording about something else, but about like just like having seen so much and like kind of just like the you said like your brain is like a water bucket, like it just like goes in and splashes right out. Like I wonder if it's just like I've seen so many characters like nothing's and like it's not like that we're connecting that like I'm never like, oh my God, this person's just like me. It's like I connect with like what stands out to me when I watch something is like I've never seen this before. Like it's something new or something different or whatever. And like maybe that's a realism thing. Maybe it's something just I don't know, but like it's not like I'm like I also think maybe I think it's understandable possibly. Like I think the people who like most closely relate to be like, oh my God, that's so me are young people. Like I think like people who are like 16, 17, 18, like figuring out who they are and like obsessively finding a thing and being like, this is so, like maybe not a character is them, but like a movie. Like I remember I was at a music festival and just like when the movie Her came out, I was just talking to like these two like a guy and a girl like best friends who were like obsessed with Her, and I was just like this movie means more to them than any movie has ever meant to me. It just like they had found their thing, you know what I mean? I was like, so I don't know if they relate to a character in that way. I don't know if they're like that's me on screen. Like I'm
or feel like Take Shelter was hits hard for me. Truman Show hits hard. The New World by Malik like connected with me.
but like as
Just
a movie, not a character.
yeah. Like, but like for somehow those things sort of like the experience of watching them took like swept. You know what I mean? I was lost. They were like
For
wildly
sure.
immersive. Like, is that maybe how they kind of got with Her?
I don't know. I think they just like, I think also, you know, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I think that like when you've seen a lot, you're jaded and that like it's harder to impress you. I'm not just saying you, I'm also saying me. I'm saying anybody who's watched a bunch of stuff. But like when something does, you're like, oh my God, this is a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's a good point. So maybe we put more value on that. I gotta tell you though, man, I was talking with Jay Baruchel once, and I told him that Doug Glatt was kind of like my Lloyd Dobler. He's like, that means a lot. He's like, I worked on Doug Glatt being Lloyd Dobler, so it makes
Hmm.
sense that I connected with those two, or not connected. Like, I'm not saying I'm just like a dude who loves violence. I just think the way they were portrayed. But I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Speaking of Jay Baruchel, I haven't seen it since it aired, but I loved it. I've only seen it once, but Man Seeking Woman, I feel like I kind of related. Did you ever see that show? It's
I
great.
never watched it. Yeah, I
It's so
missed a
good. It's just
lot.
about him trying to find love. And then once a season, they would have Woman Seeking Man with his sister trying to find love, like just one episode, like kind of like a role reversal.
Man, he's so good in Blackberry. I love that he's been crushing it
I
lately. It
haven't
makes me
seen that
happy.
yet. But Man Seeking Woman, the sister, I had to look her up. I forgot who it was, but of course it's Britt Lauer from Severance, from like a bunch of amazing stuff. So
Oh,
she's great. No, I want to see Blackberry. I
oh
didn't know she was
man,
in Blackberry.
I love it. There's like multiple commentaries on it. I can't wait to dig into it. $5 million the way it was made. They didn't even have all the money going into filming. It's wonderful. All right, so we got to get out of here, but I want to do something. We're gonna do a 2020 and beyond IFC draft.
Oh,
So
okay. Let me find that thing again. Okay.
yeah, I got a good wiki page.
I found it on IMDb, but you can send me a wiki link if you want to send me a wiki
yeah.
link.
Here, let me do that real quick. I'll send. Where's the chat? So I just love. I'm telling you, man, IFC was really there for me during the pandemic. Like it was
2020 and beyond, you're saying?
yeah, 2020 and like 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023.
Okay.
A lot of good. Oh, Made in Italy. I love. Oh wait, no, The Trip. Oh, I love those Trip movies. That's like one of my favorite trilogies. I'll let you get first pick.
Wait, what does the blue mean? What are blue and yellow?
Hmm. Blue and yellow.
Oh, blue means IFC Midnight. Okay.
Ah. Well,
Yellow.
either or.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious, like what the wiki, like yellow above means Sundance Selects, which I guess doesn't exist anymore. We're doing five each.
Yep.
I was looking before. I am going to take with the first selection, the IFC Films Draft. A lot of these are also like ones where I'm like, oh, I should have seen that, but I haven't seen that yet. I'm gonna take Resurrection.
Ooh, I love me some oh gosh.
Rebecca
She's so
Hall.
good. That monologue she has is so great. I didn't even know it was a monologue. You know that's a good monologue then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that movie.
Oh, that's perfect. Undine.
Oh, I should have taken Undine. I forgot that Undine was on the board.
Uh,
I should have just taken a second to trade it for picks. I'll take Shithouse.
Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna take Bergman Island.
That's one that I haven't seen that I want to see, and
Oh,
I know. I know I'm gonna really like it.
oh,
Like this list is more a list of like my great regrets and having not seen.
I love so many good ones.
Yeah, let's see here. I'm gonna take. I don't remember if I like this movie or not, which maybe
Wait,
since I
what?
shouldn't draft it. I'll take it because I like his other movies a lot. I'll take
The beta test?
Jim Cummings' The Beta Test. Yeah. I'm like, do I like this movie? I don't remember. I think I like Thunder Road so much that I'm just like, I'll watch everything Jim Cummings makes.
Mm-hmm. I'm I'm gonna take Benedetta.
Sweet. I'll take
Yep.
Werewolves Within.
Oh, I love that movie.
I mean, I love Milana Weintraub ever since she was on Live Prude Girls on YouTube. Like she had a sketch comedy, her and Stevie Nelson. And then she became Lily, the AT&T girl.
I
Became super powered.
I interviewed Josh, the director of that, for one of his movies, and I feel like I tanked it. He didn't give me a retweet either because I feel like he was really tired. Great guy. Did the interview, but like I just think I went at him with too many cute questions as opposed to just talking about the movies. Like, and I think he was exhausted and like I don't want to answer these. I might
Wait,
take this out.
who is he married to someone that we had on a podcast?
Did I said Benedetta, right?
You did.
All
And
right,
I took Werewolves Within.
okay. I'm gonna do Catch the Fair one.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, are you watching True Detective?
I've seen the first two.
Oh, it's incredible. Well, Kaylee Rice, who's in it, the co-lead next to Jodie Foster, when a former boxer learns that a younger sister who disappeared 2 years ago may be alive in a trafficking network, she sets out to find her, and it's just her going undercover to find her sister, and she's awesome. I love Catch the Fair. Aaron Newworth turned me onto that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really good.
I don't know. I feel like there's someone in my life I'm like, oh, they know Josh Rubin, but can't figure that out. My final pick, fifth pick, I am going to take a lot of movies on the board that I've not seen and I can't take. Like I would love to take Corsage. I've not seen Corsage. I've not seen Blackberry yet. I've not seen a bunch of these movies. I'm gonna take though. Oh, I forgot about that. That's gonna trump whatever I was gonna take. It's a documentary. I'm gonna take Bad Axe. Did you see Bad Axe?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Bad Axe was so good.
Yeah, very good. I don't know if I could watch it again just because I
No,
don't want to go back there. But yeah, that's a wonderful documentary.
no, I really like Bad Axe a lot. I mean,
Okay.
it's tough. That's also like, that's not like the COVID doc, but like it's a really good COVID doc.
The biggest problem with COVID docs is you just don't want to go back there. It's just Holler's so
Right.
good, man. Oh, I love Holler. Oh man, and then we got Blackberry, which I love an incredible amount. But I'm gonna take The Novice. I'm gonna do The Novice. I like The Novice a lot. The sound design, the acting, the performances. It's a great thriller about rowing. I should cover it on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast.
I want to see that. I've not seen that. That's another one on my list.
I'm an IFC guy. They're
You know
cool.
what we'll do? I'm going to if you'll permit me, I will. I'm going to do a waiver wire
Yeah,
edition.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah.
drop the beta test because I don't remember much about it. I'm going to instead pick up
The
the Micah
Nest.
Monroe vehicle Watcher.
Oh, Watcher. Yeah, that's a good
Like
one.
another movie I don't love, but she's great in it. I think it looks great. I think it's very creepy. Carl Glusman is good in it.
It was a good train scene.
Hmm. There's
Iconic.
also a good train scene in another Micah Monroe movie, Greta, which is
Greta.
also I love that movie. The movie's not good, but I love that movie.
Good costume design in Watcher too. Like they marketed the heck out of poor Micah
Mm.
in that dress,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's good. It's a good flick. All right, so you got Resurrection, Shithouse, Werewolves Within, Bad Axe, and Watcher. I have Undine Bergman Island, Benedetta, Catch the Fair One, and The Novice.
Good. I mean, and there's also like genuinely another 5 or 10 movies that I'm like, oh, I should have seen. I probably could have taken. Haven't seen yet.
Oh man, I love IFC. Sorry to put you on the spot there, man. But hey, where can
No,
people
I like it.
find you?
Every Tuesday, Too Fast, Too Forever, we are in our, assuming this comes out in the not so distant future, we're in the middle of, well, actually, this lap's gonna take like a year. Lap 14, we are doing the 80s cult movie laps you will have been on to talk about Predator by the time this comes out. So go check that out. And then every other Thursday, How to Win the Lottery, book club podcast. Don't know what we're doing. Maybe the eco module right now, all about nature, environment, ecology, climate change, all sorts of stuff. Or just at Soul Popped everywhere on the internet.
Nice. Well, this was awesome, man. And I'll have to dig into your list that you sent me to pick our next movie. But I thank you for joining me. This was a blast. And I like Shithouse.